Hello, hello. We are back at it again with the Anime Podcast. I got Justin here.
That's me.
That's him. And we got special guest, my man Zer0, Tyler Kuhn, the GOAT.
Oh, don't call me Tyler Kuhn, please. I'm gonna have flashbacks to high school. There was a guy who insisted on calling me Tyler Senpai, and it hurt every time. He shouted across the entire campus.
That person was actually Cole.
No, it wasn't. Shut up.
Well, it could have been.
Cole Senpai.
No, dude, no. That doesn't even work with my name. It just doesn't.
It works with mine?
Yeah, because it's at least 2 syllables. And it's like Tyler, yeah. So today we have a very special treat. We're talking about bad anime, pretty much. We got a list, we made a bunch of shit, and picked some stupid shows that we thought it would be fun to talk about. Mostly shit on.
Put the graphic on screen.
I'll put the graphic on screen. This image is pretty funny. So, I watched Kanojo ga flag wa oraretara, or If Her Flag Breaks, or something like that. I'm just going to refer to it as Flag Show.
Sounds like a threat.
Yeah, it does a little bit. And then Justin watched the best show known to mankind.
Yeah,
right?
Gamers. I'm one of them, so I thought it'd be relatable.
Yeah, I hadn't watched Gamers after I, through 2 separate sittings, only made it through the first 2 episodes. So I decided to spread the suffering onto him. And then, I don't know, Zer0, what are you talking about today?
Well, as a
show in mind?
connoisseur of terrible anime, I thought it would be fun to talk about terrible anime that are actually worth your time.
No.
Impossible.
So, I've got the Holy Trinity. All right.
Oh, God.
It's School Days, Cross-Ange, and Mahoka.
No! Oh, my God.
Dude, trust me.
Dude, I'm not. But I will. But I'm not. Alright, that's sick. So, I don't know. I think the best way to do this is probably just, we'll just go through parts of our shows bit by bit and talk about shit. So, I'll summarize the synopsis of the Flag Show, right? Basically, the deal is, we find out, within the first scene or so, that main character guy, his name is Hatate Sota. He has the power to, see flags on people's heads, but, flag in the sense of, an event happening, like a death flag, or, a success flag, or, a love flag, that kind of thing. And he has the ability to, know how to get rid of them and manipulate them into other ones. Barring a lot of exceptions, but for the most part, if it's a normal person, he can do that. So, yeah, Justin made me watch this show. Very cool.
I didn't make you watch it. I gave you a list of options, and you picked it.
Yeah, you got me. I don't know. I think we're kind of in agreement. The premise is pretty neat, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's who could have ever thought of this? But it's fun to be realized, I guess.
Yeah, it's not a terribly creative thing, but it's pretty interesting concept.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it has the bad trait of being a pretty trashy harem show where
When did it come out? Because I feel like it was in that
2014.
same. Yeah, that same when there were a bunch of harems coming out. That sounds about right.
Yeah, it was the success of Infinite Stratos, I believe, that kick-started the Magic Battle High School harem bullshit genre.
Yeah, I would have guessed it would be a little bit older than 2014, actually.
The art style does seem pretty old.
Yeah, it's like a art style I would think of from really early 2010s or late 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, the character designs, all the feels, it's it's like they have no legs, only thighs. It's so, their proportions are just kind of weird.
I feel like I remember exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's
I don't like their
They
faces.
look like early
either,
2000s Studio Key.
Yeah, it's very, I didn't entirely dislike it. Show like Noikome, I think the characters will look even worse in that show. it kind of reminds me of that, but like I didn't hate the faces as much.
Sure.
Even if the proportions were like a bit worse. I don't know. The character design is just kind of weird. It just feels like they should have more abdomen and have more legs. Like
more abdomen.
Yeah. And like, it's a harem show, right? And it's like, harem shows you can like broadly categorize into like really smut kind of stuff where it's like quite ecchi, and then stuff where it's like not very ecchi. I feel like this like tries to fall in between that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like,
it doesn't do either very well.
Yeah, it doesn't really do either very well. Anytime there was like an ecchi scene, I was like, why is this occurring? Like, and I don't know. The art style just is kind of off-putting.
It really is. I was not a fan.
Yeah. So going into this, I expected to be like quite bored, and to be fair, I was from like episode 6 to like 10. It was pretty boring, or maybe like 5 to 10 or some shit. But like,
half the show.
Yeah,
only
half the show. 13 episode show, by the way. It's like, I don't know. It starts pretty fast. Like, the first episode is like we get through hella stuff. Like, first episode, we get introduced to the main girl. What's her face? Nanami.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and like, it was one of those things where I kind of was appreciative because it's like it's an introductory scene from her perspective, and it's like he saves her from a death flag thing. From she was gonna get hit by a fucking truck, and like she immediately figures out something is up, and then he joins her classroom or whatever, and like it was one of those things where I was like, are we gonna spend the whole episode like her trying to get close to him and then figuring out what happens? But like within like the first 4 or 5 minutes, she's like, I don't like being curious. Tell me, you stupid fucking idiot. And it's like, wow, okay. Like, so, I don't know. There's a lot of other harem shows where that shit would take a whole episode, so I was kind of happy about that, honestly.
I see.
Yeah. Other than that, like, first episode, I have in my notes, I'm receiving extreme whiplash from this first episode. What the fuck is the tone of this supposed to be? So yeah, it's like... There's like a lot of scenes where it takes itself seriously, and that like majority of the scenes where it's like completely lighthearted, goofy nature. Like, it's a harem show, but it's a very self-aware harem show where it's like the girls fall in love with him instantly, and he's like, "Wow, they're way too easy of girls. What idiots!" That kind of thing. But it's like that combined with a tone of like, yeah, if I don't do something, she's going to fucking die because she fell through the floor, like shit like that, like. It doesn't mesh well at all. Like, it's just so weird. Also, I have to talk about Nanami. Like, her catchphrase is, "What in this flat Earth are you doing?" Which
what?
I don't
remember that.
Yeah, maybe it's just a translation that I was watching, but like. Yeah, like, you see the phrase, like, "Oh, what on earth are you doing?" But it's like, what on this flat earth are you doing?
You think the translator was a flat earther?
I don't know.
Well,
I was so confused.
I can confirm the earth is flat. I am an astrophysicist, so no problem,
Yeah.
everyone.
Did you translate Flag Show?
I would not trust my Japanese with translating this show. So yes, I did do it.
So yeah. It took me like an episode till I realized. I was like, why is she okay? Like, they never address it, so it makes me kind of think it was a translation thing, but they never bring it up. They're never like nobody even makes a joke about it at any point. So I was like, what the fuck?
It's because it was so obvious. Because the earth is obviously flat. Nothing out of the ordinary.
So true. Oh, I remember why I got extreme whiplash, because like all this happy-go-lucky shit is happening in the first episode after he like saves her from the death flag, and they meet up and they start building a hall and all that kind of shit. All that stuff is like pretty happy tone after that, and then it's like the first episode after the ending plays, the credit scene is he like gets up in the middle of the night, it's dark out, he like washes his face, he looks in the mirror, and sees he's got a death flag on his head, and he's like, I can't do anything about this. Like that kind of thing. And the episode just ends.
What the fuck?
So I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I was so confused. Yeah. And so it was like, part of me was like, fuck, I have to watch the ending theme every time. Great. Like, even though only like 3 or 4 episodes were there after credits scenes. So it was kind of weirdly inconsistent.
I see.
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird. And they don't bring this up again till like episode 3 or 4. Like the death flag thing. Like, all episode 2, I'm sitting there like, is he about to fucking die? What the fuck's about to happen here?
It'd be kind of funny if he just died, like, randomly in an episode.
Yeah.
It'd be a real power move.
Quite something. In my notes talking about episode 2, there's all the stuff, like, with the other girl, Akane, Mahou Sawa or some shit like that. All the characters have, like, I don't know if you would even call it a punt. They just have, like, titles in their last names somewhere, like, Akane is Bladefield, she's a knight. Or not Akane, Nanami. Akane is like magician, that's why her name is like Maho Gasawa or something.
Maho
like that.
Shoujo.
Yeah. So it's like, they all have very obvious things like that. The robot that drops in episode 3 is like,
robot.
Yeah. The robot that drops in episode 3 is like Ninja Bayashi or something. And like, I'm sure this has no significance. When in episode 2, he receives a letter. So he got his powers from God on the fucking, this, I don't know, I just interpreted it as God at the time. This fucking lowly girl who has, like, purple hair, on the ship where, before the event of the show, he got into a ship crash, on a cruise liner he was on, and everyone but him on the ship died. And so he received a ton of, like, blame for, like, being the only survivor, like, you know, Japanese type shit, where it's, like, disaster happens, it's like, yeah, you were responsible, you should feel bad that you survived, that kind of thing.
Whack.
Yeah. On the ship, she gives him the flag power, and tells him that he has to discover the truth behind the world. And, yeah. Literally the truth behind the world.
Dude, that's so you're asking a little bit too much of me.
Is that truth that the Earth is actually round?
Well,
maybe. Well, we'll get to it, right?
Was that the end of the show?
I mean, well. So what happens is he receives the power from her, ship stuff happens, all this stuff is happening. Like, episode 2 or 3, he gets a letter, from, like, it's probably from the god or whatever, and it's like, using, like, knight, ninja, magician, this kind of stuff, gather these people, and you can advance onto the second layer or something like that. And it's like, I wonder who they are. Maho Gasawa, Bladefield, Ninja Bayashi or whatever. Like, so, like, all these random girls he ends up adding to his harem have, like, titles in their names that are related to this story thing. And, yeah. So it's like, we just spend a lot of episodes just gathering women. And
gather the women like Pokemon.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. It's weird because it's like, I kind of like the girls, like, personality-wise. But it's just, like, they don't get enough development, like, in terms of, like, making, like, the from flipping the switch of their relation to the main character to falling in love with him, like, that bit in between is, like, comically short every time. And it's like, it's the joke, right? Because he can change, like, he can fuck with their flags and make them into love flags. But, like, it just makes it really unsatisfying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how he saves Akane when she falls through the floor. She's supposed to, like, fall through the hall floor because it's, like, shoddy and breaks a lot. She's supposed to fall through and just fucking die. Like, she has a death flag, and so he has to replace it with a love flag. Is the only way he can replace it, like, fast or whatever. Yeah. So that happens a lot. I don't know. Like, individually, I kind of like some of the characters. Like, later on, he meets, like, a girl that was his childhood friend from when they would just, like, go fuck around town and, like, get in fights with other kids. Basically, she was a super tomboy, and, like, only, like, right before he left where they lived, he found out that she was a girl or whatever.
The class.
I don't know, I found their backstory kind of funny. The episode, like, kind of ends with, like, this whole time she's been, like, really hard on him because, like, by this point, a lot of girls love him already, and she's like, you guys are fucking stupid, he's not even that good of a guy. Like, He's just random fuck off nobody. You guys are being idiots. He's not as good as my one friend from a long time ago. So she like compares him to him in the past unknowingly, and only eventually, like when they go out and do something alone together, she tells him about the story or whatever, and he's like, "Huh, that's funny. I also had a friend who used to call me like Soda instead of Sota or whatever," and she's like, "Huh, that is weird. Okay, well, I'll message my friend because we've kept in touch all this time." Sends a text. Dude's phone goes off. And he reads the text out loud, and they just, like, both realize it or whatever. I thought that scene was pretty funny, actually. Because, again, I was pretty happy because it was, like... this definitely could have taken, like, a whole fucking episode and, like, had dramatic stakes and, like, all this kind of shit. But it's, like, pretty fast with the information where it's, like, oh, I'll text him. Oh, it's him. Oh, like, that kind of shit. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. But then it's, like... immediately, like, she falls in love with him type shit. And it's like, okay. I can't super feel good about it. She also has a bit where, like, she's a yandere for a minute, like, because she realizes all the other girls already love him, and then he's like, oh no, she has a yandere flag. I gotta topple it. Yeah. It's something. So yeah, a lot of the midsection is just them fucking gathering girls. I'll talk more about it in a bit. We should move on to someone else's show for a bit. Who wants to talk about one of their shows for the beginning of the show or some shit?
I mean, I guess I can.
Yes.
So, gamers, right? This show it was just painful to watch most of the time.
Dude, what?
I probably had at least one or two laughs. But I wouldn't say it was because of the show trying to make me laugh. It was more of like a why am I watching this laugh. So you have the main guy, Ameno, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But first of all, I didn't like him at all, and I thought his voice was also pretty annoying.
It's fucking grating. Zer0, did you watch Gamers? I forget.
I watched Gamers as it aired.
Yeah, I watched the first episode when it aired, and then I dropped it.
I watched all 12.
You're a fucking madman. How do you...
I wrote down specifically in my notes, I said voice sucks, ultimate soy boy.
What?
Dude.
Because he's like, so the show, it's about gaming? Not really. They actually really don't talk about gaming past episode 3. Which is for better and for worse in both directions.
No.
He's like a casual gamer, I guess, sort of. And it starts with him, like, he's in a game store, and he bonds with the popular girl who, for some reason, ends up liking the loser kid. Whoa, never seen that one before.
No way.
And they bond over the stupidest shit. They're like, oh, aren't the back of game boxes so cool? They put so much information on there. I'm like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? It also pisses me off this kid buys all of his games at the store, where they're almost certainly more expensive than if he just bought them online.
Oh, it's about how's he supposed to check out that sweet box art?
Yeah, I don't get what, like, how do you bond over that? I was like, alright, I see. She's like trying to recruit him for club or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, is she like? Why is she talking to me?" Fucking, this is really nothing interesting. I sent the screenshot specifically to Cole where it has his character and it says "Friend Zer0, games are his friends."
No,
that would hurt.
That's so vile.
And so she like brings him to the club or whatever, and you got these two characters who never show up again after like episode 1 in the club. The fucking Oiso, she's playing Guilty Gear, but she plays Elfelt, so really,
Yeah, she's a fucking Elfelt player, just like Zer0, huh, Zer0?
I would never play Elfelt.
I remember
what the fuck kind of degenerate do you think I am?
I remember
the time I
specifically.
played Gear, I played Sin Kisuke.
That's basic.
And his long rod.
I remember specifically one time you were drunk, you said it in the chat, and I quote, "I'm out of control. I play Elfelt."
Oh, dude, drunk me was out of control. See, what happened was I was trying to think of the worst thing I could possibly do. And playing Elfelt is what came to mind. Which I felt was reasonable.
Oh my god. It's pretty reasonable. It's pretty reasonable.
So there's that girl who, like, her only she doesn't have any defining traits. She literally just doesn't talk.
So she got big booba?
Yeah, I think so. I don't remember.
They all have big booba.
They don't all have big booba.
But you're like, so I was under the impression, I was like, oh, so probably this club is going to be like a mainstay. It's not.
I also was under that impression.
The other dude, Gakuto, funny enough. That's his name.
No. No way.
He's a pro first FPS player. And his reason is because his dad was a mercenary. I was like, huh? What the fuck does that have to do with learning FPS games? And then it shows him playing CS, and he's kind of dog water at it, actually. He fucking, like, wide peeks a corner with an op and, like, stands in front of the guy and then scopes and shoots him, and the guy just doesn't do anything. I'm like, alright. It's kind of funny. I don't know if it's intended, but it's funny how it's never mentioned again. Actually, yeah, that they got to. There you go. The other dude they pick up who's like, yeah, I'm only good at block puzzles, and they're like talking about how they all have these important reasons to play games. He's like, oh, you're normal too, right? He's like, actually, I have amnesia. I can't do anything but play block puzzles.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And it was never mentioned again. I was like, okay, sure. And then that was pretty much most of the first episode. At the end, she like goes up to him in the middle of the class and is like, because it's like the opening is like her being like rejected in class or whatever. Because she's like, join my club. He's like, no, I'm good, which is actually pretty funny. It's kind of raw.
Yeah.
I guess the show is trying to like some theme of like enjoying casual and competitive gaming separately. I think they're really stupid about it.
Yeah.
For stuff they talk about later. It's not really in the first episode, but yeah, that's what happened. At first episode, I'm like, all right. I mean, some dumb shit, but it's not like super inoffensive. Episode 2, though, is where it really, it really stands out.
Yeah.
So you meet Uehara, who's like used to be a nerd, and is like a normie now or whatever. And he has a girlfriend Aguri, who is a fucking creature. I despise her.
Oh, yeah. She's like the pink-haired bitch, right?
Yeah, who also used to be like a normie or not a fucking loser and became a normie or whatever their reason is. Yeah. Her voice and the way she talks, like, I would probably punch her given the chance. So kind of, yeah, there's like a thing with him where he's like, I'm not a geek anymore because I stopped wearing glasses, changed my hair.
Oh yeah, that'll do it.
And then he plays some games with Abed at the arcade. They play P4AU, which is like funny. It's cool to see.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And Amino picks you, and then Uehara picks Teddy.
No, dude.
He kind of beats the shit out of him. He's like, yeah, he plays like all these other people.
God.
And they have these transition screens, which are vile. Because one of them just has like feet just in the like middle of the fucking... It's gross. I was like, why?
Dude, you don't like that shit?
Yeah, what? You're not trying to get some anime girl feet?
I specifically said, those transition scenes, why are you shoving feet in my face? Fuck off.
Dude.
You know, there's a reason it's called an eye catch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, come on, dude. Come on.
It's because the feet catch your eyes.
There's the scene specifically both Cole and I talked about. Where they're on a bridge and they're talking and he's like, Amino's he's like basically, oh well, you have a life now or whatever. And so I gets pissed at him for saying he has a life. I don't know why. Fucking stupid. And then he's like, quote unquote, he says, that's some salty excuse. You think your time spent better gaming by yourself or something. And then he picks him up and fucking almost kills him. Some gamer rage shit. I don't know.
Yeah, he like picks him up by his collar and shakes him around and shit.
He's like, you don't get to insult me for being into something stupid, even if it's gaming.
Even if it's gaming.
Gaming?
There's like some sort of character development with Uehara, I guess. Kinda. But it's... This show does something I've never seen before where they have character progression and then regression. It's quite impressive.
They revert.
You've never seen that before?
Dude, I don't watch many fucking bad shows, I guess. I don't know. I remember at least.
That happens in fucking Himoto Umaru-chan.
That show doesn't exist.
Oni-chan want game. No,
Oni-chan buy game.
I did like at the end kind of, he's like, because he didn't really like his girlfriend that much because she's like, oh, she's probably just into me because I'm, like the way I look or whatever. And she's like, no, I remember you from when you were like, you looked the other way and I liked you back then. And I was like, okay, that's all right, I guess. I'll accept that.
Acceptable. Have a nice day.
Yeah. That was the second episode.
I didn't make it past that one.
So episode 3 is basically where the show establishes what it's going to do for the next 9 episodes. So. Where there's this transition which specifically pissed me off because I don't understand the point of it, where it was like morning and you just get an upskirt shot of some random girl. I don't know who it is. I'm just like, why?
Interesting.
I was like, what the fuck was the point of that? And then he talks about these like games made by someone named Nabe, who I guess kind of like Kojima, just makes weird games. It's like, I played a horror game. It ended and I started fishing, and the screenshot was just a dude caught a bass at the end. I was like, that sounds like a pretty base game, actually.
That is kind of base.
You find out later, eventually, it's the other girl who gets introduced, Hoshinomori, or whatever. You probably never even met her.
Probably not.
Yeah. He plays like this mobile game or whatever. This becomes the thing. And he's like, all right, you need to learn how to talk to some girls. Talk to this other girl who's also a loner otaku like you. Clearly, you will get along. Oh yeah, it's Tendo. It's like the main popular girl. I probably said her name. She's like
Tendo
madly in love with him, only because when they're on the bridge, Uehara's like, yeah, her club's stupid, and he's like, you take that back. Her club's not stupid. And then I guess she's madly in love with him now.
Well, also, he rejected her, so it makes her want him more.
I guess.
Yeah, he really put his dick on the table.
It's just like it was very hard to believe that.
Wouldn't be the first person to put their genitals on a table in an anime.
No.
Wait, I thought you were a big Code Geass fan, Zer0.
I wasn't expecting the fucking Nina Einstein joke from out of nowhere.
And then, yeah, so they introduce him, and then he's like, oh, you're playing this game. And she's like, you like that game? And then they get along super well, and then at one point they get mad at each other because Amino's like, games need moe characters, and she's like, that's stupid. And I get like pissed at each other.
I mean, she's right. That is stupid. But
yeah, it is really dumb, actually. And then the Hoshinomori girl's like, she likes Uehara just because he's hot. That's it. It's like, all right, I guess, whatever.
Well, okay.
And then Agari's like, oh, I think Uehara likes her now because some shit in the hallway where she like changes her hair because he said short hair looks better or something. That starts misunderstandings, which, that's the rest of the show, so I hope you enjoy that.
I love misunderstanding. They're so much fun.
And then Tendo, I guess, thinks Amino likes the other girl too, so then there's like, oh, then more of that stuff. And then this one actually, like, physically pissed me off when I was like, girls aren't like visual novels. Amano. As in, gamers think, yeah, Like, it's just fucking so stupid.
Well, to be fair, is it out of character for Amano to think that they are like visual novels?
I guess, but the way they said it sounded like they were talking to the viewer more than him, which specifically annoyed me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like gamers all think, visual novels are just like real dating or whatever. It's so dumb.
You think the show is like... How do I put it? Do you think the show thinks it's like rehabilitating gamers? Like it's like...
Dude, honestly, maybe.
You guys need to understand the flaw in your characters here. Like...
I wish I could say it was that clever, but I don't think it is. So that's episode 3. I could finish off the rest of the show. The rest of the episodes are really nothing.
Jesus Christ.
Episode 4 is like he goes on a date sort of with her, with Tendo. I just don't understand. It gets really confusing when they're talking about, like, he's like, oh, I do like being competitive, but I don't want to join your club. But I have fun when I win, but I don't really... It's just like, what the fuck is this kid's deal? And it's like trying to insinuate that you can't have fun, like, competing in, like...
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really...
People make such a distinction between the two so often, and it's so cringe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can kind of understand. Like, I feel like I've kind of become more disillusioned with competitive games as I aged, because so much of my life is already a competition, and it's exhausting, right?
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense, but I felt like the way the show talked about it was just like, they just said, like, oh, you can't have fun, like, competing. It's just weird.
No, fun's not allowed.
And then
it's never allowed.
The episode ends with my favorite line where he's like, where are you going, Tenno? She's like, oh, I'm going home to game right now. I was like, damn, this is a good dialogue. How'd they write this shit?
It just reminds me of the fucking Gundam meme where it's like, I'm fighting. I'm fighting even right now. Like that.
Yeah,
whatever
exactly.
But gaming. You know?
Alright, so then
Hero
it's like...
is the type of guy to say that shit straight.
Yeah, episode 5 is more love triangle or pentagon. Love pentagon, basically. I don't know. There's a lot of shit happening.
Pretty sure
no one can talk in like a normal person. They all speak in fucking vague terms that could believe anything else. It's just really annoying. They're like, oh, we need to fix this problem, but then they talk to someone and are like, don't use any names and just talk like generally. It's so... I was like, what is wrong with you people?
How do you even do that in Japanese? Like,
I don't know. It's
like,
so
you're
confusing.
You're just like a person. Like, they don't even... I mean, from my understanding, right, they don't, like, there's not much in the way of, like, pronouns that refer to things vaguely, right? Like,
yeah, I don't know. Like,
there's a third person that's basically like an it.
I see.
But you don't really use that. But the thing with Japanese is that it's a highly contextual language.
Right.
So, oftentimes, if the intent is for, like, a general person as a subject, or it's obvious that that's the case, then you just omit the subject. I mean, we do the same thing in English, right?
Right.
So, Japanese is also like that. And because there's no third-person pronoun, it just gets omitted.
I see.
You can omit a lot of things, as it turns out.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
I don't know. I find it especially weird that they just like it's definitely like for plot convenience, right? Like you can't have
100%.
You can't have like it's not like it doesn't make sense. It's not like a natural result of how the characters think and talk. It's just, you know, if they were more clear with their words, then there wouldn't be plot for these 2 episodes. Like,
well, more than 2. Actually, the rest of the
9
show,
episodes.
Yeah.
9 episodes.
Sorry, 9 episodes.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so they're doing that, and then specifically Agri and Amino start like meeting up to like, well, we need to fix this problem, and then they just screech in public in a diner, and it's really annoying. Everyone's like looking at him like, what is wrong with these kids?
Fucking.
Yeah, dude, they're like, Agri's like fucking just yelling at us like, holy shit, shut up.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and the next episode, more misunderstanding. This dude's playing a dating sim, and he's like, I just don't understand why I can't win. And you watch him pick, she's getting harassed by thugs, and he picks, run away and leave her. And he's like, how did I lose?
How did I lose?
This dude sucks at gaming. And then at some point, he's like, oh, I solved it. And he like gets the right ending. He's like, I understand how to be friends with everyone now.
No.
He was playing the world God only knows.
So then, yeah, and then he like talks to Tendo at the end. And he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna ask her to be friends," and then he accidentally asks her out, and then they start dating.
What? Accidentally asked her out?
Yeah, he's like, "Almost up my line." Fuck. And then they just start going out.
Jesus Christ.
I was like, I specifically said, I cannot decide if the show's worse or better when gaming is involved. It really can go Episode 7, my first note says, it's still going, fuck off. Oh yeah, this is a really good line. I was a big fan of this one. It said, "I know I'm going to lose to Uehara, but as a gamer, I think it's wrong to disconnect before it's clear who the winner is." And then in the same episode, he sees Tendo in a swimsuit and goes, "I just lost a life." It's so bad. I was like, this can't be real. Who wrote this?
I'm in hell. I'm in hell.
The next episode opens with some like actual like kind of like, oh damn, okay, with this who you find out is Hoshimori's sister talking about like someone's always better than me. This shit sucks. I was like, damn, that's kind of real. Yeah. It's just like a cold open. You don't even know who the character is. I don't understand it.
Jesus.
Her sister like buys Arrow games or whatever, and he hears him talking about some dating sim, and she's like, "Oh, this guy's kind of cool." I think she likes him. I don't really know. It's never like fully realized or whatever.
Maybe the first plot line in Gamers that doesn't go fully realized. You know, everything's been so well developed from this point on.
Riveting.
Yeah.
And then they're like playing. Instead of Life, it's called Half-Life, which is kind of funny, I guess. Because it's literally just Life, but they did it for copyright or whatever.
Yeah, they cut the point.
But also Half-Life, right? That's reference to the epic video game.
Yeah, the epic game. And then Hoshimori realizes Amino's like her gamer buddy, and so she like ends up liking him, but then he's already dating Tendo, so you got that shit going on now.
Right.
And then he finds out it's her almost, but then she's like, "Oh, actually, my sister is Nabe and Mono, the people you game with. It's not me."
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he believes that because whatever.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Next episode, Dudley's just in the park. I talked about this for fucking Street Fighter 4. He's just chilling. I was like, huh? That was random. It's not like they've had other like character cameos at all in the show up to that point.
Just Dudley, huh?
Yeah, just like from Guilty Gear and Persona or whatever.
I see. That's pretty whack.
I had nothing else to know to say. I was just more misunderstanding stuff the entire episode.
I see. Okay. We can move on to talking about the Zer0 shows now.
I have 2 episodes left, and I don't have anything else to say about them, so I was just gonna finish it up quick.
Oh, I guess. If you want to, I have a lot more to say about my show.
No, I really don't, because I didn't like this show, and there wasn't. It's just boring at the end too.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, go ahead.
They go like a double date, and they go to some like gamer like amusement theme park thing.
The gamer theme park.
Yeah. And this whole a lot of it's really weird and annoying because like he's dating Tendo, but then like Uehara's like trying to set him up with another girl, even though he's already dating someone. And I'm just like, why? What?
Does she
weird.
know?
Yeah, she's like also likes him as like trying to like sort of.
What?
It's just fucking weird.
What? Okay.
Yeah. And there's like a development where she's like gonna confess, but then I guess she's like, oh, whatever. It's probably better with her, sort of thing. Her sister shows up and fucking crashes the double date. It's weird.
I see.
It just ends like then it just ends. There's nothing like.
I see.
And there's the OVA, which is worthless. They just talk about like game stuff, and they're at a sauna, so there's fan service or whatever. That's it.
Yes.
Good show.
Yeah. Okay, Justin, what score did you give the show here?
I gave it a 2.
2 out of 10.
2 out of 10.
You wanna summarize your thoughts for me on why it's a 2 out of 10?
Okay, I didn't like any of the characters. I wouldn't say there was a single one, because they just acted in very unbelievable ways for plot convenience.
Very
it was
cool.
annoying.
Very cool.
Mostly not funny.
What?
Mostly annoying. Dialogue was not good. That's my thoughts.
Yay.
The art was like not bad. I'll say that at least. So there you go. There's a positive.
That's good at least.
So there you go. That's Gamers.
Yeah,
Don't watch it.
Good show. I think I also gave it a 2, but like I said, I only made it through the first 2 episodes.
That's crazy. You saw all the substance.
That's fucking vile. Okay. Yeah.
That's
Great
all I
show.
gotta say. Yeah.
Great show. All right, Zero, what do you want to talk about?
All right, the Holy Trinity.
Oh my gosh.
So the reason-
Also, feel free to break it up into parts because like we can come back to me like a couple different times and shit.
Yeah, since we just talked about gamers, I guess I'll talk about Mahoka first because I think it's in the same vein. I think that there are like, as far as bad shows that are worth watching, there's three kinds. We've got the absolute travesty train wreck,
Right.
and that would be like School Days. And then we have the show that's terrible but also good at the same time. And to this day, you cannot make up whether or not it is good or bad, and that's Cross End.
Okay.
Those aren't very common. And then there's the show that you go into knowing that it is bad. And in doing so, you manage to have a great time with it. Because all you're waiting for is the times when it's laughably bad.
I see.
And I think that is like Mahoka and also like gamers. So like I enjoyed gamers a lot more than you two did. But I also knew from the start that I was about to witness a bunch of completely stupid, illogical bullshit caused by a cast of characters that collectively have half a brain cell. So like I was utterly unsurprised when dumb things happened and it became misunderstandings.executable because I knew it was going to happen. And I could appreciate it for being the fucking disaster that it was. And so, I mean, that's how I went through gamers. Like, I knew I had the tech. And I think Mahoka is the same way. So Mahoka, for those of you that don't know, it's very popular, actually.
Yep. It's got a season airing right now, doesn't it?
It's got a spin-off airing right now.
Yeah. So still very well liked.
Yeah, it's also known as the Irregular at Magic High School.
Yep.
Mahoka Koko no Rerose. So, the basic story of Mahoka is as follows. You follow our lovely protagonist, Tatsuya Shiba, who is a nerve-stapled super soldier, who is also the greatest magical engineer and kicks everybody's asses effortlessly.
The coolest
all
and
the
strongest
while,
and doesn't afraid of anything.
Yeah, he gets all the bitches in the school and his sister is constantly trying to suck his dick.
I see.
But get this, the only emotion that was not stapled out of him was love for his sister.
No!
Yo, it's so bad. And so
he's had most of his emotions like half-assed removed then, or
yeah, he's just emotionless.
I see.
Except for loving his sister.
I see. I was just under the impression, like, I haven't seen any of it, right? But just from what I've heard about it, I was just under the impression he was just like, I'm a stoic badass. I don't care about anything, that kind of guy. But like,
no, you
literally super soldier, no emotion. Okay. I see.
Yeah, I mean, like, he flexes on people. So the fun in Mahoka is about 50% of the show's runtime, which is watching Tatsuya Shiba get all the bitches as he effortlessly wrecks a bunch of peons. And you just laugh at the absurdity of it all, because it's ridiculous. I found it legitimately funny, the kind of things that he would get up to.
I see.
And then the other half is the half where Mahoka attempts to have a plot, which is really boring and also bad.
Right, just fucking stand there watching characters.
But, like, I still managed to watch an entire 25-episode season and a sequel, because I found the legitimately hilarious parts to be worth watching. And then I gave it a 4.
I see.
Yeah. It looks okay. Sounds okay.
For me, it's like, finding those kind of shows is, like, difficult because it's like, I feel like the ratio of, like, standing around and dumb shit, like, just fucking bored out of my mind, the ratio of that shit is pretty high in most shows.
Yeah.
Like,
very true.
Because, I mean, in a show like Mahoka, like, the character models are all so, like, intricate and, like, so many lines and that kind of shit. It's hard to have them move the whole time. So, like, a majority of the runtime is going to, like, always be people standing in a room saying stupid shit at each other. Like, not to say I don't like shows with people standing in a room talking a lot, right? I love plot-driven shows, but when it's a show like this where it's like, it's just going to be stupid bullshit the whole time. Like, it's not interesting or good, right? Like, then it is literally
Except
just people
when they're
standing
talking about how much they want to suck Tatsuya Shiba's dick.
Yeah.
then it's hilarious.
Yeah. So, yeah, I looked up the show. This is a 2014 show. I kind of thought it was older, actually.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Isn't this the show that has people in the Dengeki Bunko fighting game?
Yeah, there's two
Yes.
So, his sister was in the original version of the game, and then in the newest version, what the fuck is it? Like Burst or some shit? I forget. In the newer version,
Climax Ignition? Burst?
Yeah, Ignition, yeah. In Ignition, they added the main character guy, Onisama himself, Tatsuya.
I see. Yeah, they love each other so
God
much you can't
bless.
even separate them through games.
Yeah. Well, he was an
Wait,
assist
hold on.
before, but then they added him as a playable character in Ignition. So yeah.
I have the perfect image to describe this show. Please put it on while we talk about it.
Right,
Here you go. It's the appropriately named Sasuga Onisama.
No.
Because that's all they do. They stand around and like praise him as he
becomes
becomes literally Jesus.
This shit is so funny.
It's so good.
Yeah, the show is hella popular. I mean, on my anime list, 120th most popular show on there.
Yeah, I
Almost
mean,
a million numbers.
The light novel also has a pretty high score on the manga section as well.
Mm.
But I think part of that is just my anime list's scoring system requires you to see about 30% of the show.
Yeah.
Or light novel or manga or whatever before your rating counts towards the aggregate.
Right, yeah. So it's
So
like
the sample size is 7,700 users.
Yeah, so it's like naturally inclined towards high scores.
Right, yeah. Because there are 32 volumes of Mahoka.
I see. So you gotta read hella.
I was getting the
you gotta
name
be
mixed
real
up with
invested in Onisama.
or Mayoga or whatever.
Yeah, we're not talking about my yoga.
Yeah, I know, but they like sound similar.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I remember people talking about the show a lot. I wonder what the concept. I don't know. I haven't been in touch with like any anime communities really last like 4-ish years, so it's kind of hard to tell like what people talk about now. I think it's kind of just like a huge revolving door at this point, where it's like there's so many people coming in and out of the community and so many like new big deals every season that just like people forget and discard shit super fast now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, back in my day, when I browsed such things, Mahoka was actually quite popular for the reasons I described.
Right. Yeah.
In that it's actually quite fun to watch the effortless wrecking.
Mm-hmm.
And, Sasuga Onisama is a meme precisely for that reason.
Right.
It's just the rest that isn't good. And I don't often see people defending the rest.
Right. Yeah. It is,
Unless you're really into incest light novels, in which case, please get help.
Seek help immediately. Yeah. It is a show you can watch. I would not advise you watch it. Well, maybe I would. I don't know. I'm kind of interested in watching it now just because of all that shit you said. Like, maybe if I'm real bored one weekend or something, I just fucking plow through it. Although I feel like I might get bored pretty fast and just like give up.
Yeah, so what I did to maintain my sanity was, well, number one, I think watching these bad but good shows while either buzzed or drunk is a great enhancement to the experience.
I see.
But there's also
that
watching it with friends. That also helps because you can shit on it together.
Right.
And I also paced myself one episode a day when I watched Mahoka because I knew that if I kept watching it, that I was going to get bored with it.
Right.
So that let the novelty of Onisama wear off a little bit every time and helped it stay a little fresh. Although I did finish it in like one day.
I see.
I got to episode 18 and I was like, I can't do this shit anymore. So I watched the last 7 episodes in a day.
Jesus Christ. That's funny. Yeah. It's definitely an experience. I might have to watch some. So, all right, I'll go back to talking about my fucking show, Flag Show. So, Justin recommended this to me, right? Justin, you only made it like
I
4
didn't.
episodes
We already
in.
talked about this.
Okay, whatever. Different. He recommended it like facetiously, right?
Yeah.
You only made it like 4 episodes into this, right?
Yeah, three or four. I don't even remember them.
Okay.
So
Zer0, have you seen the show at all?
I have not. This was after I was out of my shitty harem show phase.
Good, good for you. I'm glad you sought help.
Yeah, well, it didn't help everything that came before.
So, Justin told me about the show, and he's kind of like, yeah, it's just like stupid. You'll have fun shitting on it. There's a lot of stuff that happens, and I like a lot. Like, I have actual notes here because there's so many like stupid twists and turns to the plot that I would definitely forget. So, okay, so like episode 3, Robot is introduced. There's like a deal where it's like, he's the only guy that lives in these dorms. They call it Quest Hall, and they're super shitty looking, and they have to go through a deal of like they want to renovate the hall so he can live there or whatever, and so his harem like helps him. He gets the help of the fucking student council president or whatever, and basically they build a whole ass new thing. It's like difficult. It takes them like half an episode to like figure out how to do it practically or whatever. But specifically, like, they have to have a certain number of people, and, like, the council doesn't really want to build a whole ass new dorm for, like, 10 people or whatever. So they end up, like, this athletic festival happens, which, this is a week-long fucking athletic festival. Like, literal 7-day festival.
I do remember that, so I definitely got to that point.
Yeah, I think this would be episode 4. I'm not sure. Literal week-long festival, like, when you get up to midnight, it is running. So, pretty funny, I guess. Basically, the deal becomes, the student council agrees to, like, if they place first in the team, like, if their dorm places first in the team competition, they'll let them stay there and, like, keep everything. And if they don't, like, they'll fucking tear it down or whatever. However, the funny part about this is, like, the council is, like, a bunch of old dudes who, like, run the company or whatever, and run the school. And then just, like, the student council president also is there helping to make decisions. Basically, she's like, please let them stay. And, like, they kind of reluctantly agree, but then she's like, fine, if this is what it takes, like, if we win the athletic festival, we'll have to do it. And it's like, they basically already agreed to it at this point, so she just, like, imposes a restriction on them for no fucking reason. Because she's just a fucking idiot. It's definitely the joke, but it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. So... yeah, they do the festival. Festival stuff happens. It's pretty long or whatever. There's some like emotional-ish stuff that happens. It doesn't super matter, but they end up getting exactly second place, and at the end of the day, the last minute like emotional thing that happens, like. The council of old dudes who run the school, they were like, we were so moved by your teamwork, we'll let you stay anyways, kind of thing. So it doesn't fucking matter. But
pointless.
Yeah, and then the next episode is like, where he meets the childhood friend girl who's like a complete bitch to him. No, wait, that happens right before the athletic festival, actually. Because she's supposed to like train them for it, or whatever. Because she's like athletic or something, you know.
You got him fights with kids, dude. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. She's got like a Shrine Maiden type outfit and like a bow and arrow. I don't know. It's fucking weird. I forgot to tell about when they were childhood friends. Specifically, like after they make up and realize like that they were good friends, and she starts being nice or whatever. She remembers at some point a scene where they're like on top of like a metal silo or something as kids. And the main character guy, Sota, is like, what is it? He's like, they have a big talk and they become really good friends or something. And he's like, okay, let's have a pissing contest off the side of the metal silo. And because he thinks she's a girl. And she's like, no, do not, no. And she basically gets like peer pressured into doing it. So they have a fucking pissing contest. And then she beats him up for it. Yeah, I just, that's a scene. So
sounds like a normal Tuesday night to me.
Yeah,
Pissing off the silo with the boys.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
This being when they were kids, mind you. But, yeah. So, episode 7 onwards is where like the plot stuff starts like really taking off and like becoming like, oh, this is the focus of the show, huh? So we had heard rumblings in the background of this organization that we learned is called the House of the Seven Virtues, right?
What the fuck?
Like, we just see them as introduced as like a shady underground organization. I'm like, yeah, they probably control some important shit or whatever. And they're basically like, we see a couple of their people talking, and they're like, there's a girl who's got blonde hair and a mask. She's called Number 0. And then she's talking to this whole like huge group of these people, and she's like, Sota is dangerous. He has the flag up eternity power, the thing where it's like he can topple flags and replace them. This is a terrible power, and we have to be careful about what he does with it or whatever. And so they send someone off to go like spy on him and like fuck with his shit, see what he intends to do. And they send, she's named Number 7. She's got
so fucking... just code names Kids Next Door? What the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know. She's got blue hair, like pretty light blue hair. Her name is Daizamare Mei. Obviously being another, like, oh my, samurai, like in the story. Oh my god.
Whoa.
Whoa. And she's from this organization. Basically, she introduces herself, and she's like, I can see flags too, and I know you have the power to do things about the flags, whereas we cannot. And he's like, what the fuck is occurring? And she really doesn't do a lot for a little bit. She kind of just spies on him or whatever, and acts like kind of a tsundere bitch the whole time, as a lot of the characters do. So she eventually spills the beans to him that like she's part of this organization and that they're monitoring him or whatever. And she grabs him, takes him into like memory world, right? And in this memory world, there's a fucking alternate world where the main character isn't there, basically, and she's like, this is what would happen if you didn't change fate in these other worlds, like that kind of thing. And these worlds like already exist or whatever. And you watch all of his friends, like all these girls one by one, the death flags that he like reversed or whatever. You watch them all die terrible deaths, like. You watch Akane, like, she falls through the floor and bleeds out on the stairs. Like,
what the fuck?
This other girl who, he, like, treats him as, like, a big brother or whatever with red hair, she drowns on the beach. Like, she just fucking, like, she gets stuck in a cave. They get stuck in a cave together, and then what happens in their timeline is, he, like, gets rid of the death flag, and the robot girl comes and saves them. In this timeline, she just, like, the water floods, and she just fucking drowns. Like, you see her, like, her hat and shit just floating in the fucking water.
Dude.
Sorry, when did we switch to talking about another?
Yeah. You see, like, Nanami in the first scene of the show, she just gets fucking wiped out by this truck. Like, she's just fucking bleeding on the floor. He's like freaking out at this point. Like,
I mean, understandably.
It's
I can't imagine
weird.
why.
It's like the episode before this is an athletic festival, right? Like, where they're like, oh my gosh, I want to race with Sota. He's so cute. Like,
oh my god, everyone fucking dies.
Yeah, he's like fucking freaking out. And so they come back to this timeline, and right at the end of going through the other worlds, he finds his old teacher on the Premium Ambril, which is the boat that he. Like, right before the story starts, where he was in an accident on the boat, and everyone on the boat died but him. He finds his teacher, his homeroom teacher, on that boat, and he, like, basically gives her the will to live, right? He's like, no, you gotta go help people and all that kind of shit. And she becomes the protagonist of that world after, like, flag toppling happens. And, she also makes a one-off line, like, they're like, Sota does not exist in this world. And she's like, oh, Sota, I remember him. He's my grandfather. And we're like, what? This doesn't make any sense. I thought this would get addressed and there would be, like, time travel stuff. This does not get addressed. It's just it's a different world entirely. Like, it's not just like they went back in time to see the shit. It's an entirely different world, so I guess it's just different? I don't know. Yeah. it's something. So all that shit happens. They come back to their original worlds, right? And because he learns more about how like there's alternate worlds and stuff, and he like looks back at the scene of like him getting power from the god girl named Sakura, or the organization calls her Sacrament. He starts fucking coughing up blood like he's gonna fucking die. He's like, oh no, I learned too much about the truth of the world in the wrong way. My death flag is going off. He's coughing up blood. He's gonna fucking die. So this May girl, she's like, I have to take the burden of the death flags off of him. And in a very weird scene, she's like grabs onto him and like all the death is like washing over her or whatever. She's like freaking out. She's like, oh my gosh, she's been through so much actually. I didn't realize. And instantly falls in love with him in like a 30-second scene. And takes like the burden of these death flags. And as that's happening, his life is saved. God, Sacrament Girl, comes in right at the end of the scene while Sota is like unconscious, and she's like, it's good that he didn't die, but I can't have you interfering with how he's supposed to learn about the truth of the world like this. So she just fucking wipes her memories. Just fucking wipes that shit and gets rid of like the death flags or whatever for now. She doesn't like get rid of it from Sota, but like he's stable now, I guess. So she wipes this girl's memories of everything related to the organization. She remembers other stuff, but everything related to the organization she was in, like fucking absolute blank. So yeah, like whiplash, like right, like what is happening?
Seems like there's two different things going on in this fucking story. Doesn't know what it wants to do.
I was so confused. I was so fucking confused. But at this point, we go back to what's her face? Nanami, Bladefield's home country, Bladefield. Of which she is
home country's called Bladefield.
Yes, of which she is the 13th princess.
Of course.
We learn about this story from the founding of the country a long time ago, which is basically like one special guy who had a weird power that nobody understood, and his group of warriors, who there was a knight, a ninja, a cleric, a magician, and all these other people. Basically, as we can infer, like, they're all the random girls he's acquired, like, their titles and shit. Like, 4 of them die on the first wave fighting demons, and then the next one sacrifices herself to, like, protect the flag, and then the 2 princesses escape from danger, and they go to put up the flag to found the country, and the guy holding, like, with the mysterious power, he becomes the flag itself, and he sacrifices himself, and he dies, and the country is founded. So he learns about this story at this moment. Well, we learned about it a bit earlier than him, so we could come to the conclusion, yeah, obviously, it's, like, his fucking friends or whatever, and it's supposed to, like, mirror the events of what was supposed to happen, like, because a lot of the girls were supposed to die, right, until he changed their fates or whatever. Episode 9, I believe. They come back to their home country because the king dies, right? And so now there's like succession stuff happening. They're not anywhere near the line of succession, right? Like, she is the 13th princess, but they're good friends. Like, you know, it was her dad anyways, and they go back. On the train back, Sota meets the 14th princess. She's the youngest one. And she's like a ridiculously sheltered girl with like gray hair. And Nanami meets up with them and they're like, oh, what's going on? That kind of thing. And as they're talking, an attempt is made on their lives by a robot that looks very similar to Ruri. But it's not her. It's just a different like robot model slightly, right? This scene is so funny because like we're back into like we're back to harem stuff. They're having fun times with girls. Like, Nanami is like, why are you getting so familiar with this princess? Like, what's with all the girls? That kind of thing. It's like, oh, it's a harem show. I love girls. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I love girls.
Yes. And then it cuts, like, we see them in the foreground, or, like, the background, instead, kind of. And it cuts, you see this Ruri robot, like, you see a very close-up on them so you don't see them very well. She walks up to a maid and just gut punches this fucking maid. Like, just fucking gut punches her, and she drops. And then immediately, it's like, it turns into a fight, and they're like, oh, it's an assassin! And the maids start pulling out fucking huge guns and shooting this fucking robot. Like, literal, like, P90, like, fucking all kinds of shit. They start shooting at this robot. This robot just goes through and beats the shit out of all of them. Very violently. And, sort of, like, saves her from getting assassinated barely from an attack, and they start running away. As they run away, one of the maids slams this fucking robot's head into the wall. Like, the wall, like, shatters. Like, it's a fucking crazy explosion, and then the maid gets beat up by the robot immediately after. But they bought some time. And so they're, like, fucking running away. They make it to the very end of all the carts on the train that they're on, and, to save them, Soda, he unhinges the fucking thing, and, the cart, like, gets moved away from all the other carts on the train, right? So they get away. The robot looks like it's about to jump onto their cart from far away, when number 0, the girl from the organization, comes up and stabs her from behind, and the robot dies. And so they escape. And so I'm thinking, what the fuck? Like...
Yeah, you're thinking that.
Yeah, like, what the fuck just happened here?
Dude, I'm hearing this shit for the first time, and I'm just baffled.
Dude, it's like...
What's going on here?
I don't know. And so at this point, I'm like, oh yeah, this is like the third part of the story we just heard, where the princesses escape with the flag guy. So, you know, it's following the events of the plot, you know, from the story of the nation's founding. They spend like an episode or so, like, in the country. There's like 3 days of mourning for the king, and then a festival to decide the successor. We meet the crown prince, who, you know, these two girls didn't know Nanami didn't know the king very well. The youngest girl, the 14th one, who we met on the train, I literally do not remember her name. She was kind of cute, though. She was the youngest one, so the king, like, doted on her super hard. But this crown prince guy was always, like, really, really nice to both of them, so they like him a lot, kind of thing. And so it's like, they have this, like, couple days of grieving or whatever, and Nanami is, like, kind of down, and she has a talk with everyone, and Soda is like, you're sad, but also you're sad because you're not quite as, like, upset by the king dying as you feel you should be because you weren't that close to him, kind of thing. And she's like, yeah, kind of sucks. So it's like some sad boy moments, you know, a little bit, but it's a pretty solid, right? And then those two learn about the story for the first time in their home country. And upon learning about the story, Soda proceeds to immediately put together everything we as the audience put together, obviously, right? It's like, oh yeah, these are like mirroring the events that are happening right now. He starts freaking the fuck out because he realizes the story ends with basically him dying, like self-sacrifice kind of thing. And he's like, I don't want to fucking die. Jesus Christ, no. Like, this is terrible. He's like, is this, like, can I do nothing about it? I can't do anything about my fate. I'm gonna fucking die. Like, he freaks out and just, like, completely detaches from the group for, like, a while. Like, he's losing it. Because he doesn't want to fucking die. Pretty scary response. Number 0, at some point, like, during the night, comes up to him and talks about the story with him. And she's like, do you hate the world or do you want to save it, kind of thing? And he's, like, freaking out because he's like, if I tell her I want to save it, I will probably die. But I also like my friends. But I also kind of hate the world because we realize at this point he has gone through a lot of shit after the accident with so many people, like, being upset about him being the only survivor and shit like that. And taking on all this, like, all the death flags of other people and, like, bringing it into himself. He's, like, had, like, a lot of really bad experiences from newspaper outlets and all that kind of shit, like, shitting on him. And taking all the death flags has been hard for him because he realizes he's gonna fucking die and he doesn't want to die. So, like, he's got, like, legit PTSD at this point. Like, he's, like, freaking the fuck out. And she's like, I'll ask you again later, kind of thing. So, for a while, he's just, like, he doesn't respond to shit very well in the world. It's really weird. Like, episode 10, I believe. Maybe it's 11. They're back at the school at this point, and, like, we see this idol girl who joins up. She's like undercover, and he helps her escape from like a crowd of people who recognized her or whatever. He's with Nanami also, and she's like, oh my god, she's a super popular idol. She's sold 10 million records kind of thing, and everybody loves her thing. And he's like, I have literally no idea who this is, okay, kind of thing, and it's a bit or whatever. They go around the school and look at shit, and basically we spend most of the episode like, she's performing there tomorrow, so she wants to have a look around, and she becomes friends with Nanami and all that kind of shit. So it's a, I don't know, it's a weird break, but it's kind of a turning point, because it's like main character is like kind of detached from everybody at this point, and like he wants to help them, but he also doesn't want to die. So like harm shit happens, but he just like doesn't respond very well to it. He's just kind of sulking the whole time for the most part. It's a really weird place. I took like a 2-day break at that point because I was doing other shit, but it was definitely a weird place to like. It's just a weird break in the story, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, dude, like just tell me about the show. I'm like, ooh, funny harem show. And it's like, he's got fucking PTSD.
I never got to those points. I didn't know that shit was gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. He's got fucking like.
You say
PTSD.
that's the weird break in the story, but I'm sitting here like trying to process all of the information that's been dumped on me.
Yeah, dude, like hell shit, dude. I told you I took notes, like, not because it was particularly complex, because I was like, I know I'm gonna forget the exact terms of the story when I come back to this. Like, so much shit. I'll finish talking about it in a bit. Zer0, you want to talk about your next show?
All right, we're gonna talk about School Days.
All right,
Let's go.
I've wanted to watch School Days for a while.
So School Days is rightfully infamous. For those of you who have not been exposed to School Days, bless your heart. I'm just gonna give like a brief rundown of what School Days is. So School Days is a visual novel adaptation, and visual novel adaptations rightfully have a bad reputation when it comes to making an anime, because you have to condense a lot of content into a 13 to 25 episode show, and it's not really conducive to that. I mean, like, it works out really well with, say, Steins Gate. But then you can look at something like Fate, for example, which turns into an absolute train wreck. Right. At least the Studio Dean adaptation. And even then, like the UFO Table adaptation of Unlimited Blade Works is largely popular because it's fucking sexy and not necessarily for the plot elements.
Yeah. Justin and I had a pretty long conversation about this the other day, how it was like, adapting visual novel stuff is hard because there's so much like inner monologue that it's like
novel and visual novel stuff.
Yeah,
novel and visual.
It's the same way with novels,
right? Where it's like a lot of times they just don't adapt it. Like I know Jordan has talked about Fate a lot because she's read all of it, right? And she was like, I don't get how anyone likes the anime when it's like they cut out all of the inner monologue that makes like Shiro like tolerable or like a character, that kind of thing. So
Shiro's inner monologue, if you just look at like what he says, he's basically just like a blockhead misogynist,
right? And
his inner monologue is actually what like nuances that, and you get to see how he ends up the way he is as the quote blockhead misogynist. But without that, he's just annoying. I mean, he's annoying even with the monologue, but it's justifiable.
Right. It's like he's like an actual character at that point.
Yeah.
So rightfully so, adapting visual novel stuff is fucking difficult, right? I like the Higurashi adaptation, but like I think it's a bit of a unique case.
Higurashi is definitely unique.
I think I haven't actually read the Monogatari light novels, but I've heard they're well adapted to the anime. So
that's because they felt empowered to put entire blocks of text on a single frame.
Yeah.
So even then, it still cuts out a lot of stuff. I've heard like I don't know. Cameron told me about like some of his friends who read it and like just huge chunks of nonsense that was in there, like describing a girl's panty for fucking 3 pages, that kind of thing.
Dude, that's like the first thing.
I see.
Tsubasa Hanakawa's panties are very important.
I see.
So anyway, when TNK goes to adapt the School Days visual novel, how do we set School Days apart? And the thing with visual novel adaptations, especially of like harem visual novels, eroges, is a lot of times they just like adapt something non-committal,
Right.
and they won't adapt an ending. And so there are two VN adaptations from around the same time, I think, actually, that both decide to adapt an ending. Yeah, Shuffle was 2005. So Shuffle, for example, decides to adapt one of the girls' routes.
Right.
And so you get like an actual complete romance arc from your visual novel adaptation, which is very unique.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure the production committee of School Days saw this and said, yeah, we should adapt an ending too. Which one do we pick?
No.
And they picked one of the bad endings.
No.
And so the first 3 episodes, I believe, of School Days are pretty chill, you know. It's garden variety, dating sim, eroge kind of stuff. And then you get to episode 4, and the series goes off the rails when they start having practice sex on the roof.
I'm sorry, say that again?
The series goes off the rails when they start having practice sex on the roof.
On the roof, huh?
Yeah, on the
It's a
school
little
roof.
practice. It's not fun.
Yeah.
So, the basic idea is that one of the main love interests, Sekai Sayonji, who is also the protagonist's best friend, is wingmanning him to pick up one of the hottest girls in school, Katsura Kotonoha. And in the process, the wingmanning gradually evolves into like full-blown cheating. The protagonist becomes a playboy and sticks his dick in like every girl in the school. All the while he is quote-unquote the boyfriend of aforementioned hot girl Kotonoha Katsura, who's a really nice girl. And it just descends into absolute chaos, and infamously, spoilers by the way,
Yeah.
if you care, mute me for like
Dude,
25 seconds.
There's no fucking way anyone who's heard of School Days hasn't like heard this, but yes.
Yeah, so Katsura loses her mind, kills the protagonist, kills the best friend, and then snuggles with his head on a boat. And,
Yep.
you know, after watching School Days, I thought, wow, what a fucking trip.
Yeah.
And I didn't regret it in the slightest, because what makes School Days worth watching, even though it's like not really that good, is that it's such a complete and utter train wreck. Like it's incredibly unique in the way that like you're never going to see anything else like School Days.
Right.
No studio will ever do that, but also like they were just fucking out of their minds. And so like at least as far as train wrecks go, I don't even know what compares. Like it's very unique. You get something out of watching School Days that you can't get by watching anything else. And I think that makes it worth watching. I don't even know what to compare it to. Like Elfen Lied, maybe?
Right, like
Yosuga no Sora?
classics, you know. Time.
Yeah, classics. I don't know if the kids these days know about Yosuga no Sora.
No, absolutely not.
That was only infamous back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh, I've heard.
Elfen Lied is like that used to be such a big deal, right?
It really did.
I watched a 2-hour video the other day that because Super Eye Patch Wolf recommended it in one of his videos or whatever. That some channel did. Hazel is the channel, and it was like basically why was Elfen Lied popular? Because Elfen Lied was like not a big deal at all in Japan. Like it did not sell particularly well in Japan. Like, but in the U.S., like it was a big fucking deal when it got when the DVDs came over and all that shit. Like hella people were talking about it, and you know they attribute that to like you know internet culture at that time was kind of like, whoa. Did you hear about this? There's this fucked up thing, that kind of shit. And there were like a lot of edgy fucking 14-year-olds on the internet for the first time, that kind of shit. So yeah, I thought that was all pretty interesting. I mean, School Days is like kind of similar in that way that like it was passed around a lot of anime circles because of like the shocking twist ending kind of thing, right? Like
that ending is not a twist at that point.
I mean, I guess yeah, but like
the shocking is like just the progression of just utter depravity,
right,
that occurs. It starts out so innocent,
yeah,
and then practice sex on the roof. That's what does it.
Always the practice sex.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I hate it when that
just
happens.
have real sex. You don't have to worry about it.
So yeah, is that the moral of the story? Don't practice, just go in.
Just go for it.
Yeah, I've been meaning to watch School Days for a long time. I mean, there's a sizable number of people who are like think it's a really good show, right? Like from the lens of like I don't know, like it says something about how harem protagonists act and how it's like fucked up, that kind of thing. I guess. I don't know. What would you say about that? What?
So I have School Days as a 9 on my list.
I see.
Not because I get any sort of critical enjoyment out of it, but like it's just. I mean, that's definitely a score that's carried by like subjective enjoyment value.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'll score it. Sorry.
Yeah, for sure. Although I do think that there is something to be said about like you can look at School Days as a commentary about how dating sim protagonists act.
Right.
But I also think, like, on some level, it was just meant to shock the viewer.
I see. Okay.
It is also an ironic 9. It should probably be like 1 or 2 points lower, but I quite enjoyed watching School Days.
I mean, yeah, it sounds like an enjoyable watch, if nothing else, right? Like,
yeah, I watched it all in one sitting. It's definitely a one sitting watch. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Is it like 12 episodes or is it more than that? I don't even know.
Yeah, it's 12 episodes, so you can finish it in around like 4 or 5 hours.
I see.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll probably watch it at some point. It's a interesting show.
Yeah, see, I'm doing my job in the bad shows worth watching section.
Yeah, you're going crazy. Do you want to talk about your next show, or should I finish my show?
You might as well finish it off.
Alright.
Give me the fucking deep lore.
Yeah, so...
Deeper lore? Is there deeper lore?
There's deeper lore. Oh boy.
It goes even deeper. Holy
it goes much deeper. Okay, so... So we got the Idol Girl stuff, right? This is where the show really starts fucking off. Also, like...
Starts?
Okay, not starts, but, like, really pulls through on it, right? Like... So, mind you, I have in my notes here, I forgot to bring it up. Earlier they have a sleepover or something at some point. The rich girl, Akane, Maho one, she just has a body pillow of the main character. Like, they have a pillow fight, and she throws her body pillow. Yeah, I thought that was funny. Okay, so, now, to completely contrast from that funny scene, haha, body pillow. So we got the Idol Girl stuff, right? Like the last thing they go to tour is like the stage where she's going to perform the next day. And she talks about how when she was first starting out as an idol, before that she just did like a school performance or something for like a talent show or something. And she sang, and she like thought she wasn't very good at it, but she had a fun time. But her friends and classmates and professors and all that stuff just like cheered her on so hard that it made her want to get really good at it and do it for other people because they were so supportive. So she spends like a year or so like doing idol stuff, but she's like doing idol stuff and also working at a company at the same time, and it's like her idol stuff is not going super well. Like mostly she doesn't get that many people, and she's not growing at all really, and so she gets super depressed about it. She develops like a complex, and she's in the park one day on like a rainy ass day, and she's like swinging on the swings, and she's like just super fucking sad. She's like, I'm so worthless, I can't even do this one thing that I want to do, even though my friends have cheered me on so hard and I've gotten so much support. I'm just a worthless person. Like, she's like full-blown depression, like very sad about it. And then boy walks out of nowhere with like a purple hoodie on over his head. We can't see his face. It's obviously the main character. And he's like, I think one day you could be great at it. You should just keep on fighting, all this kind of shit. Gives her a real pep talk, and she gets over it and starts to get really good at idol shit. And so he gives her a good old pep talk. It's like an emotional scene. It's like pretty solidly well done. And she's like, from that moment on, I started working even harder, and it finally clicked with me what I needed to be doing better. And now she's like super ridiculously popular idol. And so she's like, okay, I saw everything I want to see, and she goes back for the day. Nanami instantly is like, I wonder who that was that did that and changed like her route so instantly. Like she knows it's the main character, obviously. And she's like, why would you do this kind of thing? And he's like, I was in a really bad place at the time. I wasn't like myself really. And we see flashbacks that we've seen before, and he's like, he says, I was planning on killing myself, and I thought maybe I wanted to do something nice before I like died. That kind of thing. I wanted to leave a good impression. We see a scene of him under this bridge while it's raining, like with the same hoodie on, but it's like not over his head. And he takes a knife and like picks it up, points it at his throat. Like his arm is just like fucking shaking vigorously, and he like we see him like defeated, eventually just put down the knife and look sad, and he's just like crying and shit. And it's like, holy fuck.
Holy fuck, dude. I thought this show was just like... Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so like, legitimate suicide attempt from this guy. And he's in a similar-ish place now. Like, you know, it's not good. And so this would be like right after the accident on the boat and all that shit. Which is why he was so depressed and all that shit. So, shit starts getting even more fucky. So, Idol Girl performance starts. They're all having a good time. Everybody's super duper into it. And they make a promise that afterwards they have a dance or whatever, and all the girls want to dance with him. So he promises with them that he'll dance with them or whatever. And they do a pinky promise. That's how you know it's a big deal. Except there's like 12 pinkies in the pinky promise, but you know. And so, during this idol performance, he starts seeing the flag on top of her head, and it's a flag of, like, light or something. His power is, like, kind of grown at this point, so he starts seeing, like, more nuanced emotions and routes from people. Like, flag of success, or, like, flag of, like, a main story point, or flag of, like, all kinds of random shit. He sees, like, a flag of light on her, and, like, she's giving off light to all these random people, and it's, like, you see light shooting out of her flag and intersecting with people as she's, like, cheering them up or whatever. And he's like, it's crazy. It's so much power and stuff. And it starts all intersecting onto him now, and he's like freaking out because it's a lot of shit. Like it's like flooding his vision kind of thing. And I shit you not, all this stuff starts happening. It all coalesces into one point, and the world freezes in place. And he is the only one who can move. He looks around and he's like, "What the fuck is happening?" And he sees number 0, and she's like, "It's a freeze. The world has frozen." Because there was too much information being conveyed by your special power kind of thing. You have frozen the world. And she proceeds to explain to him that they live in the Matrix, and that this organization, the House of Seven Virtues, they are fighting against this super fuck-off thing called Angelus Gemini. Right?
What the fuck?
And it has a similar power to the main character where it can change, like, fated events, right? And they made a supercomputer to combat it, which simulates virtual worlds and like all possible realities to try to find a way to fight it, kind of thing. And this world that they live in is one of those such worlds being simulated by the supercomputer. And as such, he has just conveyed too much information and it is frozen. And next time something like this happens, it will instead crash and their world will be erased. So she says,
what the fuck?
She says, the shit's fucked up. And, Zer0, please. She says, the shit is fucked up, you have to leave. Like, if you stay here any longer, the world will literally break. My notes specifically say, they made a supercomputer with virtual worlds to play out all outcomes and realities to fight the Angelus Gemini, or whatever the fuck it is, who can control fate like the main character can. Computer's gonna go haywire and control all of humanity, and all these routes are going to be controlled by the Angelus Gemini if they can't defeat him. But the main character guy, since he has the flag toppling the fate changing power. He is the key to beating the Angelus Gemini. And so she's like, you have to leave this world and come fight with us, basically, in like the place where the Angelus Gemini is, so that this world does not crash and break. So so they leave, and Number Zero erases all of the characters in this world's memory of the main character, except Nanami's does not get erased for some reason. And so he leaves, and they go on living life while he goes into this place to go fight the Angelus Gemini, right? And they like, only Nanami realize it. She tries to bring it up, and they're just like, oh, you're a crazy person kind of thing. And we watch them go through and live the rest of their high school experience. Like, they just lived their life without him at this point for the next, like, couple of years. And only, like, when high school ends and they, like, finally start moving out and they start to leave, like, does more stuff happen. Like, they live their whole, like 3-4 years or whatever while he is off fighting in the supercomputer world type thing or whatever. So all this shit happens, right? Now the main character is right now inside the virtual space, like the big controller where all the worlds like diverge or whatever, fighting the Angelus Gemini. They're just like a bunch of different creatures with like, they're basically just a bunch of angels or whatever, and they shoot giant lasers at him, but he shoots giant lasers of death flags back at them, and he kills them one by one, but he's getting the shit beat out of him in the meanwhile, so like he's getting weaker as it goes on. It looks like we don't know how long he can keep fighting. While Number Zero is like kind of cackling in the back, like, ha 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 ha, fight as long as you live, kind of thing. Yeah. So he's fighting, and we learn more stuff about Nanami as she's starting to like get more of her memory back, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
She makes a connection with Ruri, who says, I will return to you the memories that I've been withholding. And Ruri proceeds to inform her that Sota is her brother, actually. Her younger brother from the country of Bladefield. And the country of Bladefield actually controls the world using the supercomputer system in the House of Seven Virtues. It is the exact center of the Earth, like center of the entire world. And that once a generation in their family, someone is born with the crazy flag power. And they knew that it was Sota, so they like abducted him from the place, and nobody has any memories of him in their family. And they did testing on him to draw out his powers by bringing him to like a different virtual world or whatever. Nanami gets her memories back from Ruri, who has merged with her old soul from a different world because she came to go save Sota, I guess. Because Number Zero was holding her captive to not stop the testing they were doing on Sota.
I can't believe I watched this show and like...
Yeah, what the fuck?
I would have no clue any of this.
Dude, why did you drop this show?
How was I supposed to know? That's like the biggest total shift I've ever seen.
Yeah, so she gets her memories back from like previous world line type shit, and she's like, I have to go save Sota. It's just so crazy.
So, I was like, yeah, it's just kind of a weird horror show. I think I would drop it. It's like that one gif of like Kanojo Flag Lore, where it's like somebody I used to know, like bass boosted or whatever.
What the fuck, dude?
Dude, yeah. So she has a flashback to when she was a kid, hearing about the story, like that the main events of the founding of the country, that the main events of the story like follows, and she's like, she remembers as a kid, she said, you know, the ending was pretty good, but it would be better if there was a happy ending and everyone lived. So she's going to set off to save Sota and make that a reality kind of thing. The next part of my note says, I'm cringing my balls off. So her and all the other girls in his harem, right, at this point, they go to the basement where all, like, the fucked up random shit is happening, and they find the way into, like, the supercomputer, like, divergent world line kind of thing, and they go to fight and help him. And you know, they're supposed to just be normal people, but they're able to actually fight these things off and help him a lot. And Number Zero's like, what? They're just virtual lives. They're not like, they shouldn't have any power kind of thing. But they have a very epic like 5-10 minute scene of like all the random girls like using powers to fight the angels, and they're like, "We'll save Soda," kind of thing, and it was really, really hard to watch. It was really cringe. I can't lie to you guys. Yeah. Hence my notes saying I'm cringing my balls off. Right. So in last episode or two, what's happening is as they're fighting, we find out that Sakura / Sacrament, the god whatever girl who gave Sota his powers, she is one of the two gods who are the former consciousness of Angelus Gemini, like the whole accumulation of them that were cast away because they don't like need those thoughts or whatever, I guess. She is the half that believes in the good of people and bonds, whereas there's the other half called Lapis's demon, who thinks that people are just kind of lazy and evil for the most part. And we get a flashback to...
Danganronpa?
Yeah. No. We get a flashback to the Premium Ambril, the cruise liner where he got in an accident and everyone but him died, right? We get to see the real events of what happened. And he sees Lapis's demon, the little girl, and he saves her, and he's hanging out with his friends at the same time. He gets separated from them, saving this girl. And she's like, "Why would you save me?" kind of thing. He's like, "Oh, that's what anyone with a shred of humanity would do." And it kind of sticks with her because she believes, like, people are bad or whatever. And he goes to save this guy who was trapped under a rock or a pillar or something. Because the ship is just, like, on fire, like, breaking down kind of thing. He lifts up the thing barely, and the guy gets out. And he's like, "Oh my god, thank you. How could I ever repay you?" kind of thing. And, yeah. While they're talking around and trying to find... They're just talking random shit. While they're trying to find their way out, more shit falls, and Soda gets trapped by, like, 2 huge fucking rocks. And so we're like, "Oh, he's gonna repay the favor type thing." And this dude, like, looks at him. He's freaking out. He's like, I can't do this on my own. I'll go help. I'll be back up. I promise. And he leaves. He just runs away. And Soda's like, "What the fuck?" Like, this dude just dipped. And so, like, he's gone. He's gone for a long time. And we're like, wow, he's not coming back, decidedly. And Lapis is like Soda's realizing this, and he's like freaking the fuck out, crying at this point. He's like, even though I saved him, that kind of thing. And Lapis is like, yeah, this is how people really are in the end. They're just fucking terrible and this kind of shit. And you're gonna die. Like, and then, like, after them talking for like 5 minutes or so, the guy comes back, but with all of his friends he was hanging out with. And they save him, actually. And the girl's like, what? No, wait. That kind of thing. And it's like, actually, they're good. And then they save him. But as they're saving him, like, more shit falls. And basically it turns out that everyone but Soda is going to die here. From all the stuff falling on them. And she basically makes a deal with him. She's like, either they all die here, or you take all of the burden of their death upon yourself. Like, you make the big death flag on yourself. And he decides eventually, even though he really doesn't want to die, and he has like a big emotional dialogue about it, he decides to take the burden on himself because these people came and saved him, that kind of thing. And so that's how the events of the story actually happened, that kind of thing. To which point we're like, what in the fuck? Yeah, so...
That's when you said that.
No, that's just one of the times.
As opposed to any other.
Yeah. So, okay, so back to fighting the Angelus Gemini. The big bad center core of the Angelus Gemini is the Premium Ambril boat, but it's got angel wings, and it's got a giant halo, and it's flying in the sky. And it kills all of the rest of the other angels and takes its power into itself, and they have to fight it. Soda tries to fight it, but it's like too strong, right? And so he's fighting it, and he's like, even if I die, I'll kill it, that kind of thing. And so we're like, oh, he's gonna, like, self-sacrifice, right? Like, in the story, even though he really doesn't want to do that. And then all the girls get behind him, and they help him, and together they end up beating it without anyone dying. And so they beat the Angelus Gemini, and, like, everything's good now. They can not worry about their world being taken over by it, and all the other virtual worlds taking control of all of humanity. Which... It proves the two goddess girls, Sakura/Sacrament, and Lapis's demon, or whatever. It proves they both had different theories of what they thought. Zer0, please, this image.
Dude, this is all I can think about as you're describing this shit.
Hold on, I'll add this to the fucking, to the video.
Did you like the addition of him pissing off the silo?
No, I didn't actually.
I've been drawing a fucking image.
Dude, this is so vile. So
He's taking Rompa there.
Hope,
despair.
the
two gods.
Oh, I see.
The one god, she had the theory that to save the world, it would be the bonds of people between each other that would save the world. Whereas Lapus's demon thought self-sacrifice of the strong, being Soda, would save the world. But really, they were kind of both right because it needed both things to save the world. So yeah, all the virtual worlds from the supercomputer completely stop and converge into the real reality, the original reality that has been like frozen since all this shit started happening. And yeah, the world has been frozen ever since the premium Ambriel incident and all these other virtual worlds. Which, mind you, the main characters lived in one of these virtual worlds. Like this was their original reality that they remembered. So they all converge into the actual original reality that is not a simulation kind of thing. And Soda is in the fucking hospital. Nanami remembers him as her brother, and she cries and all that kind of stuff. Number 0 comes up, apologizes, takes off the mask, and we're like, oh my god, it's Nanami! Except, oh, it's not Nanami. It's just a girl with like blonde hair that looks really similar. Apparently, it's the founding queen of the Bladefield country in the first place, Kagura Bladefield, who founded the country like 1,000,000 years ago or whatever, like 200 years ago or some shit. I don't know. And she like apologizes. She's like, sorry, I ended up using you, and it was very bad. And he's like, yeah, that did suck. And she's like, well, I can't make it up to you in any real way, but thank you, and leaves, kind of thing. And from this point on, all the like regular events of like the girls like getting death flags and him removing them and saving their lives happens, and they live happily ever after at this point. So
this is a 50-episode show, right?
This is a 13-episode show.
How is that possible?
Well,
What the fuck?
you know, it's like that screenshot I sent. Who did I send this to? Did I send this to you, Justin? Of someone in the comment section of this fucking show at the last episode. Yeah, hold on. Let me read it. Let me add in my notes where I have to add this also. This is 142. This guy in the comments said, and I quote, "Good anime. The plot was good, but this anime could have easily been spread out to make 2 seasons, so it made sense to most people. In parentheses, by the way, I could make some sense of it. Definitely worth the watch, but could have been better in some areas. I give this a 6.5 out of 10. So, I'm up there with like one of the 2 geniuses who could understand this show, right? Like,
I'm up there.
I'm like,
holy shit, you're so smart.
Yeah, I'm one of the 2 people. Me and this guy are the 2 people on the entire planet who could comprehend this fucking show.
Sasuga Coulson.
It's just a literary masterpiece, right? Like, it's just fucking crazy, bro.
Clearly.
I mean, okay, so I'll give my thoughts on it. I think I gave this show a 4 altogether, all being said and done. Most of the runtime is harem stuff. I would say it's like 60-40 split of like harem to like plot stuff, right? I don't think the plot stuff is necessarily all bad. Like, I think all the bits of like him getting legitimate PTSD or like him freaking out because he realizes he's gonna fucking die and he doesn't want to die. Like, I think that shit is like actually pretty cool. And if like given better context in like a better show, I would be like, whoa, this is sick. But then there's like all this shit of like fucking supercomputers and they're all virtual realities. Why does it matter? They're all virtual realities. And there's a big bad that like literally the Angelus Gemini, all we know is like they're gonna take over the world and control all humans using the supercomputer thing. And we have to beat them. And it's like, so it's like there's a lot of plot, but most of it like doesn't really fucking matter. It's mostly just twists to have twists and stuff to have happen. Like, not much of it has, like, any critical worth. Like, it's a lot of just, like, jerking you in one direction over and over.
I think they were just throwing shit at a wall. Like, how can we make this the craziest possible?
Yeah. So it's like, and it's like 60%
It works.
60% of the runtime is just harem show shit. Like, And it's like I said, the big problem with the harem stuff is like, I like the girls' personalities individually, but it's like the parts where they transition to those aren't fleshed out enough, and it's like it makes me not like them as much. Like, I like his one friend, Rin, who was like the tomboy friend he had. I like that stuff. Like, she's a pretty fun character, especially because she's one of the only people who like treats him like understandably as a person. Like, at this point, pretty much everyone else, like except for Nanami and Rin, just like entirely suck his dick the whole time. Like, they're just like, oh, all 5 of us will dance with him, and they want to be on dates with him, that kind of stuff. And it's like, okay. So it's like, a lot of it is very cringy runtime of that. If it was like somewhat less of that, more fleshed out like character transitions and like motivations, that kind of stuff, and less cringy like fucking angel fights. I sat there for like 15 minutes on the final episode, like cringing, like looking at my screen, like cold sweat running down my fucking body the entire time, like wanting to cry because I'm just like, it's so embarrassing to be watching. I don't know. Like, it was legitimately hard to watch. I can't with a straight face watch fucking Akane and be like, I'll protect Soda-kun, and then shoot a giant laser at a bunch of angels while serious music plays and like he's crying and shit. Like,
is this what Owari no Seraph was about?
No, it was much.
No, please don't bring up Owari no Seraph.
Yeah, so
if I have to watch this guy try to fuck his brother one more time.
So it's like I think this show, I said to Justin before, I think this show would be very salvageable. Like, I give it a 4 out of 10 because while a lot of it was boring, there was legitimately some stuff I liked, right? Like, all the PTSD shit, the main character is not a bad character necessarily, but it's like, if the plot was written coherently and there were more characters that were like worth existing, and more of the runtime was given to stuff that actually fucking mattered, could have been decent. I don't know. Is it worth watching? Probably not, right? I mean, I think my summary is probably all the enjoyment you'll get out of it for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, that's an entertaining summary.
Yeah, like...
What the fuck?
Like, what the fuck, dude? So yeah.
I'm saying.
So yeah, solid, like, 4 out of 10 show. I consider between, like, 4 and 5, because, like, I don't know. I did end up liking the main character a lot, just because he had, like, very complex and realistic emotions of just, like, actual PTSD, making a suicide attempt on his life after realizing how, like, alone in the world he was after getting fucking yelled at for being a survivor of an accident and realizing that his fate is ultimately to die. Like, that kind of shit. So, yeah, cool show. Not much to say, just pretty fun harem show. 13-episode show. Priest do it. Just turn your brain off, It was a good time.
Bro.
So, Zer0, you want to talk about your last show?
Yeah, before I do, can I take a break for like 2 minutes?
Yeah,
It's the coffee, brother. The coffee.
I gotta go.
Don't worry. I have references.
Oh, God.
It's gonna be gamer time.
Okay, two minute break. I'll be right back, too.
2-minute break.
Yeah, don't pause or anything. Just let it run.
Cole just spilled his fucking life story out now.
Yeah, 2 minutes to fucking digest everything that's happened. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, I just watched a show. I was like, yeah, it's kind of boring, not really funny. And you had a fucking emotional journey.
Yeah, fucking that, dude. They live in the Matrix.
I had no clue when I told you to watch the show that it would be fucking insane.
Dude, what the fuck? You see why I had to take notes? Like,
I was just like, oh, maybe it's will be a funny harem. Like, ha. I was like, wait, what the fuck?
Okay, I'll be right back.
Oh my god. I feel like I have to watch this, finish this anime. Fucking went insane. What was the last show you were going to talk about again? Oh, never mind. I'm the only one here, period.
Oh, we are so gaming.
Hello.
Oh,
Yeah, I
It's
feel like I need to
cross
finish that
time.
show now.
fucking Kanojo flag?
Yeah.
Dude,
I was like, what the fuck? I did not expect that.
I was...
Kind of insane.
Dude, that image was all I could think about.
Good image.
You like that I gave him a death flag?
I did, as a pirate flag.
I didn't know how else to do it.
There's a... I actually can't believe that's a real show. It doesn't sound real.
No,
It sounds like a fan
no, it
fiction.
doesn't. Don't worry, Crosshands isn't gonna sound real either.
I feel like I watched the most normal show here.
Yeah,
I was like,
you did.
It was just I didn't enjoy it. I don't know. It's like nothing really that funny happened.
Yeah, I mean, I figured, right, like the best way to make a podcast about bad shows interesting is to talk about bad shows that are still worth watching.
Yeah, I thought gamers would be like, oh, it is, cringe, but it's like funny cringe kind of. But I was like, most of the time I was just bored.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, 2 minute
I
break
mean, it's
over,
like,
baby.
it's like Watamote.
Aw, dude, I hate Watamote. That it disgusts me a little bit that I see the common sentiment of the show being, oh my god, it's just like me when I was like younger. And I'm like, what?
What show?
Watamote.
Oh,
No matter how I look at it, it's your fault that I'm not popular or whatever. I don't know.
oh, that one, yeah.
Yeah.
Cringe comedy.
I only made it like 3 or 4 episodes in the show because I was just like, dude, this is... Y'all need help. I don't know, bro. Basically, I was pretty off board as soon as she bought like a eroge like guy game and fell asleep in her room with like a vibrator watching it while her dad walks in while she's asleep and sees the horrific steam before her and just shuts the door and leaves. Yeah.
What the
I
fuck?
was pretty off board by that point.
Never had any close calls?
No, not at all.
Yeah, Pokecole with his vibrator.
Holy shit. I think I have to make this image the thumbnail, Zer0. I can't lie.
It's really powerful.
It's so good.
Fucking Matrix.
Dude, I'm sad now. I was like, I wish I would have watched something that was bad like that.
Yeah.
Not fucking just cringe bad.
Yeah. Fuck. Dude, I was surprised how much of an actual experience I got, though. I can't lie. Oh my god.
I think that was worth your time. I think you should bump it up to a 6.
Dude, I might have to give it a 5 at least. Like that. That's a show. Like,
Maybe you're just making it funnier the way you describe it.
That's definitely a show that you start drinking and watch.
yeah. I mean, it's like
That sounds pretty fucking peak.
it's like legitimately most of the runtime is Harlem shit, right? Like,
You just made it not sound like that.
yeah. I mean, 'cause that's the stuff that like sticks with you because like a lot of the episode endings and shit. Like, dude, I don't know. Ugh, what the fuck, dude? Okay, Zer0, spotlight on you.
Alright, cross-inch time.
Cross-Ange.
So, full disclosure before I start, I unironically, legitimately really like this show.
Pog.
Like School Days, I gave it a 9.
Mm-hmm.
Except this time, it's the unironic 9. I really felt like it deserved it.
I see.
And before I start talking about Cross-Edge, I'm going to pass it off to the top My Anime List review to give you an idea of what Cross-Edge is exactly.
Oh,
and I will
God.
also use a description from my friend Pace.
I see.
So, let us read from the Gospel of Nairon. Ahem. Cross-Edge is a travesty. It's a horrible, stupid, illogical train wreck of a show with shoddy production values. I don't think that's true, but anyway.
It's done by
That relies almost
Sunrise,
entirely
right?
on pandering. What? Yeah, it is by Sunrise. Yeah, pandering to the lowest forms of human life and waving shallow moments of shock value all over the screen. The series has a narcissistic sense of self-awareness, and in each episode you can nearly hear a subtle narration by the director and other Sunrise execs laughing at how much of a moron you are for watching this garbage that they put in front of you. Ha! I bet those glass-eyed imbeciles are getting bored. Let's put in another lesbian threesome. No, not yet. Only after we show the lolly whipping someone again. That said, it's one of the best things I've seen out of this studio in years. With a big fuck you, Sunrise, let's go into this. CrossAnge is a lot of different things. CrossAnge is a magical princess show about knights and dragons. CrossAnge is a prison drama. CrossAnge is Mean Girls. CrossAnge is borderline Yuri hentai. CrossAnge is Gundam Seed. CrossAnge is a catharsis for the type of person who has a FetLife account. CrossAnge is what would happen if you made a Princess Peach anime starring Ronda Rousey. CrossAnge is proof that not only will Mizuki Nana play any role, but that she is also good at it. CrossAnge is anime Mad Libs, where your only word choices are lesbians, dragons, and kill. Or, as my friend so succinctly put it, imagine a mix of Code Geass, Full Metal Alchemist, Xenoblade, Pacific Rim, Shawshank Redemption, and Mean Girls. And I would like to add Gundam Seed.
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
Also, after that review, you may be wondering what score Nairon gave CrossAnge. It is a 9. So, CrossAnge, in my opinion, is the rare show. It's art. Because it's so obvious that the goal when Sunrise was making CrossAnge was to make something bad. But just bad enough so that it was still really fun to watch. It's basically the quintessential so bad it's good show.
I see.
And that's helped by the fact that it's like actually got legitimately good production values. Like, it's Sunrise.
Yeah.
So the mecha animation is still good. You know, the soundtrack is still good. They've got, good voice performances. They mentioned Mizuki Nana, who plays the protagonist. It actually has decent writing, despite the fact that it's fucking ludicrous. And so, CrossAnge is like, it's terrible, but it's terrible in a good way.
I see.
As I'm sure you're able to deduce from the description. Haha. It's the kind of thing that I think a lot of people set out to try and make. I think a good modern example would be like Osamake, or the one where the childhood friend won't lose, which aired last season.
Oh.
Where, it takes this absolutely head-ass premise, right?
Uh-huh.
And it's like, oh, look at us, we're so dumb. Except it actually just ends up being bad and unenjoyable. And I think Rent-A-Girlfriend also does the same thing, except with a different purpose. Rent-A-Girlfriend is bad, but it's bad because the mangaka Reiji knows that it will sell more volumes.
I see.
The way he does it.
I see.
Instead of writing like something actually compelling. And so CrossAnge just manages to toe the line between fucking bad and good at the same time.
I see.
And it's such an experience, man. Like, as I've said, I don't know, I unironically like this show. It's also like, I think it's a lot better if you've seen Gundam Seed.
I see.
Because part of the show is them making fun of Gundam Seed.
Oh.
As in, one of the characters, whose name is Tusk, is literally just Jesus Yamato, the protagonist of Gundam Seed, plot armor and all.
Oh.
There is one point in the show where Tusk survives having bombs strapped to him because he strips into a bomb-proof vest.
What?
In under half a second.
What?
It's so dumb.
You went crazy. It's like fucking firefighters where they train to fucking strip all their clothes and put on their suit as fast as possible type shit. But like
Under
with a
half
bomb.
Dude, Tusk is just built different.
He's fucking incredible.
It's I really think it's like a must watch if you enjoy the kind of thing that's just stupid inanity, but also passable.
I see.
I don't know, there's not really a lot more to say on it. It's just, it's such an enigma. I can't think of anything else that really pulls off the so bad it's good.
I see.
anywhere as close as Cross Ange.
Like
I don't know. Because, like, The Room, I think, is another good example.
right.
Except that's not intentional. This is obviously
I
intentional.
see. Huh.
That's the Cross Ange pitch.
I'm tripping right now.
Don't believe me. You think you're tripping, and then you find out the main antagonist of Cross Ange is named Embryo. It's his whole last name. Yeah, Embryo. He's God.
Okay.
And
yeah.
his entire goal in life is to get his dick wet.
Oh. I mean, given how the
Wow.
show sounds, it sounds like he was pretty successful.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't.
Oh.
It's so fucking whack.
Poor man.
No, he deserved to get cut.
He deserved to get cooked.
Yeah. Dude, he's such a tool.
Sexist.
He's the main antagonist.
Sexant.
Sexant.
God, that's a show. It definitely. I mean, I've heard you and fucking Tail talk about it for a million years now, so I've always had a passing interest in watching it. But like,
Yeah, the thing about Cross Ange is that, like, the first 8 episodes are all important exposition,
oh,
but you don't realize that until you're quite a bit farther in the show. It's all set up disguised as pointless bullshit.
I see.
And so, like, what happens is you watch the first 8 episodes of Cross Ange. I actually didn't like it at all until I got to, like, episode 9 or so.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, what the fuck am I watching? This is dumb. Why do I keep coming back to this show?
Uh-huh.
And once the actual plot starts rolling and you realize the kind of thing that you've just been suckered into, it's actually, like, legitimately interesting. And the leads in the show are also legitimately interesting characters, bullshit aside.
I see.
They're also just fucking nuts. They've got that going for them. It's so whack.
Definitely a show you can watch and should watch, huh? Jesus Christ. I mean,
It's truly an
I
experience.
see. What? Oh, you're talking about shows that are like so bad it's good kind of thing. It reminded me of My Liga. Did you watch My Liga? I think you did, right?
I did. I really didn't like it though.
I mean, did you watch the whole thing?
Yeah, I finished it.
So I assume you're kind of the opinion. I'm kind of this opinion. Like, I think it starts really strong, and then it just kind of progressively gets worse.
Yeah, it had, like, I felt like the pilot episode was easily the best episode of the show.
In fact, one of the first videos on my channel was talking about how much I liked the first episode, right?
Yeah, it just it tries to do too much, and in doing so sacrifices anything that it could have done.
I feel like it stops trying to do a lot like halfway through and just becomes like a kind of conventional like ghost story type thing plot. You know what I mean?
True. It's a fair way of looking at it.
Like,
I don't know. I have this, like, knee-jerk reaction to anything that will drop, like, 20 named characters on me at once,
right,
and then pretend like it's going to do something with them, and then only 5 end up mattering.
Yeah, no, I completely... Yeah, like, I think my overall score of the show is, like, ultimately positive. Like, I think I give it a 6 or something. But, like, it's mostly carried on the goodwill of, like, the first couple episodes. And, like, I don't think the serious stuff is, like, super bad. Like, it's not bad enough for me to be, like, I think it's just, like, overall quite bad. But it's, like, it's bad enough that it was, like, it didn't fill off on any of the promises I thought it set up to begin with. Cause like, I like so much stuff. I mean, I have a whole last video talking about why I like the first episode, but, there's, like, so many scenes in it where it's, like, playing at being, like, intentionally a meme kind of thing, or, like, a joke in a lot of ways, with a wink and a nod. Like, I remember one scene where they're in a group meeting, like, discussing, like, who a killer might be, or something like that, and the guy who, like, always tries to take charge of everything, but nobody really respects him, is talking, and as he's talking, the shot is, like, it's, like, a close-up on him, basically, like, just focused on him, except in the exact center of the fucking screen is just a wooden pole, like a support beam or something, and it's just entirely covering this guy's like face and body for the most part. Like, so it's like shot. It's like you took a shot of someone, but then you didn't realize there was something completely in the fucking way, and you can't see anything at all. Actually, like, there's so many bits like that are like intentionally like bad shots or stuff that's like really funny, but it's like ultimately the premise, like, it's not about that stuff. It's about ghost spirit research from 10 years ago and this old guy and all that shit. And it's like, yeah, okay. I don't know. That's how I feel about it.
I haven't seen it.
It's like...
Just watch the first episode.
Yeah, honestly, I would...
And then
I think I did watch
the
the first
mystery.
episode, actually, though.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I just don't remember it because it was a long time ago.
Like, yeah,
Actually,
I would mostly just recommend watch, like, an episode or so. Because, like, I don't know, if you have a tolerance for that kind of, like, transition, like, maybe watch it. But it's like, I wouldn't, like, recommend it, really.
Cole,
yeah.
do you know what the closest analog to Cross Hand
What?
is? Ixion Saga DT.
No!
That's the closest thing I can think of. Like, that show
I've only seen 7
is a
episodes.
25 episode dick joke.
Yeah, I've only seen the first 7 episodes still.
Oh my
I
god.
do intend to watch it.
I mean, it's 25 episodes of the same nonsense, basically. But,
Yeah.
like, that's the same idea that goes in, where you can tell that they just started and they're like, all right, we're going to name the main antagonist after erectile dysfunction,
Yep.
and we're going to pop his testicles in episodes 1 and 2.
Yep.
And you're like, all right, that's the kind of show we're dealing
Let's
with.
go, EDEK, could go.
Or like the fact that when the opening switches to Cons VA singing, he's not singing the lyrics that are on the screen. He's singing a song about losing his virginity.
Yeah.
Fucking riot.
Dude,
Ixion Saga DT is also worth watching for the same
the
reasons.
fucking stories of PokeCole37 singing the con version of the Ixion Saga DT opening. That's my masterpiece of karaoke that I've learned.
It's so
true.
funny. Yeah, it's definitely something that I can appreciate a lot more now, especially after I've started learning Japanese, because I can understand what I'm saying as I say it.
Right, that makes sense.
Like, it's one thing to know what it says,
Right.
and then it's another thing to belt out, I want to lose my virginity.
I mean, DT literally being Dote, like virgin, right? Like,
Yeah.
DT, yeah. It's pretty funny.
He's like begging
Yeah, like, take
the
this
listener to make him
precious
a
treasure
man.
away from me, that kind of shit. Like, yeah, it's quite funny.
Yeah, those two are both absolute bangers.
Yeah, I need to watch that show. I also like how in universe, like, Mariandel is just like completely accepted as like cool hot person, even though there's like, you know, gender stuff going on with them. I like that bit of it where it's like, you know, the sensibilities of the time, people are kind of like, oh, that's weird, that's unacceptable, kind of thing. And like Con kind of is like that, where it's like he's not down, and everyone else is just like, fuck's wrong with you? She's cool. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, in some ways, I think that's just a reflection of the fact that it's from 2012.
Right.
Also, Mariandel's VA is fucking Jun Fukuyama.
No idea.
Like Lelouch.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Interesting. What the fuck?
So I do think that dates it somewhat, but I think it holds up.
Yeah,
some
I can see that
as well. Yeah, that's the only thing that would make me hesitant to recommend it, really.
Right, yeah.
But outside of
I think
that,
it does it pretty
fucking
tastefully,
hilarious
though.
show.
I don't know. I guess it's been a while, and I've only seen parts of it, so I don't know what happens later, maybe. But
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of like One Piece in that regard.
yeah, I've heard about the One Piece stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like portrayed negatively in One Piece. It's just portrayed as kind of weird. Although in Ixion Saga, they started Trans Revolution, so like, I don't know. That sounds pretty canon to real life to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like it's the serial experiments lane of transitioning. like predicting the future movements. It's crazy.
Of course.
I don't know. Any other shit we want?
If you're watching this, watch Ixion Saga.
Yeah, do it. Watch it. I don't know. Any other shows we want to bring up while we're on the topic of bad shit? I don't really have a ton else to say, particularly.
Didn't you watch Oreimo?
No, I didn't. No, Gavin did.
Good.
Yeah,
Wise choice.
Gnosis Mike Rap Division.
Yo! Fucking...
Rap Battle Rhyme Anima.
Have you heard of that, Zer0?
No.
It was airing like a year ago or so, and I introduced it into this friend group as a fucking joke. Basically, the plot is, in the first episode, the Japanese government is taken over by the Party of Words, which is a matriarchal organization who says the patriarchy has gone on for too long. We have taken over this government, which wishes only to like fight wars with weapons and stupid shit like that. And we are banning any weapons from all of Japan. And instead, people will fight with their words using these special microphones that inflict damage upon the users or upon the targets. So basically, it's a rap battle anime with like a tournament, and like the participants are like groups of 3 guys. It's like a pretty boy rap show. Yeah, it's a time and a half. If you're really bored, watch the first episode. It's pretty funny.
The first episode's worth it. I couldn't say any past the first or
worth it. Past the first, for the most part, is kind of just a little bit boring because it's like we start to have like 20 minutes focusing on one group or like 10 minutes focusing on one group, whereas the first episode is like you meet all like 5 or so groups and like 4-minute scenes or whatever. They each get a song.
Yeah.
So first episode's definitely pretty fun. I mean,
where does Cat Shit 1 fall in the scheme of bad things worth watching?
Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
Cat Shit 1. Who could forget about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, who could forget
Truly.
about Cat Shit 1?
Yeah, I think... What's my fucking review of Cat Shit 1 on my fucking page? I think I have it as like a 3 out of 10, but my tag just says, but you should definitely watch this. Yeah. Cat Shit 1 is fucking funny.
Cat Shit 1 is the sequel to the hit animated film G-Force.
CGI has devolved since then in this alternate timeline. So Cat Shit 1 is just like this atrocious looking, like, is it even CG? I don't know.
I think
it's CG, right? It's like not even anthropomorphic, like barely humanized, like rabbits and camels and other stuff, and
they got real rabbits to do the acting. It took a while to teach them how to speak. But...
Yeah. And it's like, basically we're following these 2 bunnies who like work for the army, and they're going to rescue these hostages who are taken somewhere in the Middle East, presumably, because it's all a huge fucking desert. They're taken hostage by these literal camels who are terrorists.
Like the animals represent different races.
Yeah, it's
kind of funny.
Definitely not the most sensitive take on the Middle East to portray them as camels, I would say. Decidedly bad idea, but so they are terrorists. But like every time they speak, it's like fucking like that kind of shit, right? Like it's not very tolerant. I would say.
Was this made in 2002?
Was it? No way. That's so old. Let me look it up. 2010.
Was this 9/11 propaganda?
Wait. Yeah, that was the joke.
I see.
Cat Shit 1 is a 3-volume manga series.
Yep.
Written and illustrated by Motofumi Kobayashi.
Kobayashi? Isn't that's the cowboy guy?
Original run 1998 to 2005.
No.
No. Apparently, if I remember correctly, the Americans are represented by like pigs or something.
No, apparently that's the French. The Americans are rabbits.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, the French are pigs.
Zer0.
Thanks, Robespierre.
You might. So I looked up on the wiki about Cat Shit 1. Do you know why the Americans are rabbits? It is.
Oh yeah, it's because they're Usagi.
Yeah.
USA.
The USA GI. Usagi.
Oh no.
I remember we were looking that up.
I was losing my fucking mind.
Dude, that's so epic.
Dude, their USA GI unit, you know, bro. The Usagi. No, dude. That's so vile. So yeah, basically you follow these two rabbits fighting all these camels and rescuing these hostages, and they get away. It's a 1-episode OVA. Voice acting is really funny, and it looks goofy as fuck. You should definitely watch it.
Yeah, you ever watch a rabbit fucking dome a camel with an AK?
Yeah.
Oh,
Or, like,
I thought
when
I thought it was about to be a different kind of dome for a second.
it's not fucking B-stars, bruh.
This ain't your average anime.
And then, like, when fucking camel comes around the corner and whichever one
Fucking stabs him in the neck with a knife or fucking...
Yeah, that happens. I was also thinking of when the timid sniper rabbit, it's just those two fighting on like fucking 50 plus camels, right? Like one camel comes around from around the corner and he pins down the guy with this who has the sniper. He's like got the knife holding on his fucking gun and shit, and he's freaking the fuck out. That's a pretty fun part. Yeah, it's a show. You should watch it, preferably with a group. It's
Cat shit one.
Or while shit-faced drunk.
Almost certainly. Almost certainly.
Almost shit-faced. We had to remember the critical plot details.
Yeah, I'd be able to recite that shit. Any other so bad it's good type shit? Like, or just like bad but entertainingly bad?
Ghost Stories, the dub.
Yeah, I've heard. I've only seen.
I was going to compare that to Cross End, right?
Uh-huh.
Where the objective was to make something bad that was still worth watching.
Right, yeah.
Right? Because we all know the Ghost Stories
Right.
dub is not good.
Yeah.
Intentionally so.
Oh yeah, because
But you get so much epic meme material out of it.
Right.
Hilarious.
Really funny.
Right, yeah.
Although it's definitely dated now in 2021.
Yeah, for sure.
Still funny.
I don't know. The problem with finding like it's so bad it's good shows is that most of them are just fucking boring. Like rather than just like very bad. Usually it's like maybe one like that's funny, it's bad scene per like 20-minute episode of people standing around saying stupid shit. Like it's so hard to tolerate.
Yeah, it's definitely the hardest of them to actually execute on, which I think is why they're so rare to be.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a daunting task.
Truly. I guess if everyone's good, I think that probably about wraps up everything I want to say for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good.
And any...
After that Kanojo flag plot summary, I'm more than good.
Yeah. Any other last parting thoughts on this topic of some sort? I don't know. I don't got shit.
Apparently I should finish Kanojo Flag. That's what I learned today.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah, dude, you fucking...
This is like...
You let a fucking hidden gem slip through. Like,
Yeah, apparently. Jesus
what were you
Christ.
doing, bro?
Yeah,
well, you were watching Endless 8, I was watching Kanojo Flag. Who's the real winner?
You complain about too little plot in your episodes? There's too much plot in mine. Only 2 men on the fucking planet can understand it. me and this guy in the comments named Shut Up and Read My Comment. We're the only 2.
That's Mr. Shut Up and Read My Comment to
Oh,
you?
sorry.
He is one of the only people who can understand Kanojo Flag after all.
Shut up and read my comment, senpai.
Ooh woo?
No more. Alright, well.
Alright, cut the episode.
No more. Cut
Cut it. Cut the
Alright,
tapes.
fellas. Remember to cherish your friends and piss off a silo with them and shit. So, yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's what I got out of today? Yeah.
Yeah. Alright.